Some lady knew. Some lady knew. Some lady.
Hi, I am your humble host for Some Lady News, and this is my introduction to help you understand a little bit why we're here talking about this crazy stuff. In April of 2014, I started experiencing this weird thing that I had to lean forward to pee. And so I went to my annual exam and they found a small, like a walnut size uterine fibroid, which lots of women have all the time. They did a follow-up and mine started growing rapidly, so I had to have a hysterectomy in October of 2014. It was devastating. I was 39 years old, but I didn't actually ever have any plans to have kids, or never had that feeling to have kids, but it was just that sad feeling of having it taken away. So I get through that. The tumor ended up being 1.75 pounds, so he was a big boy. I named him George. So I recovered from that really well, and then in August of 2015, my right ovary decided to burst, wrap around my appendix, swell, and die, and I bled internally for a few days. They thought it was ovarian cancer until they got in there and they realized what was going on. I'm pretty sure I'm in a medical journal somewhere. So that was the end of August of 2015, and then in early October 2015, because of that surgery, I had a major overgrowth in scar tissue, and I got a bowel obstruction. My intestines actually started to stick together. So I had to have surgery after about 6 days in the hospital to fix that. 4 days after that, I got a pretty severe MRSA infection. So you're just laying in the bed and you're not feeling great, and they just start plucking staples out of your 12-inch long incision. It was pretty awful. I was in the hospital for a total of 17 days. And then I had to go to wound care, where I had to have my holes unpacked, bleached, and repacked every day until early December. So during that Thanksgiving, or during that ordeal of recovering from 2 surgeries right in a row, I really experienced some mental health stuff, and I didn't care if I woke up the next day, which was very disturbing. That is not the person that I am. So I called my doctor and I called a counselor, and I got help right away because that was not me. I was single, and going through a lot on my own was just really very, very just crushing. So I recovered from that. Then in April of 2016, I was doing some work and I popped a hernia. Turned out it was 3 hernias because I'm an overachiever. So they scheduled surgery for July of 2016, and I was supposed to go home that day, but they had to do this procedure called a component separation. It's kind of like pulling muscles around and stuff because I had 3 major hernias. I was in the hospital for it. I think it was 5 days. After that, I started getting back to exercising and losing weight and feeling good. And then in 2018, doing yoga, I felt a twinge in my stomach where the other hernias had been. And so I talked to the doctor about it, and he just basically said, stop doing yoga. So, okay. Then in 2019, the hernia did pop. I believe it was from sneezing that time, or it could have been coughing. It was one of those, because I had a sneezing one and a coughing one. So in July of 2019, I had hernia surgery. And then that was the first time I experienced something called dermographism. It's also called urticaria, or chronic hives. So about 2 weeks after surgery, my skin just completely freaked out, and anything that touched me would cause hives. So if you think about that, process that for a second. You use the bathroom and you wipe your butt and get hives, because that's how bad it was. Took some antihistamines and stuff for that, and it finally went away after about 6 months. And then I got another hernia. So isn't that fun? Yes, I have this all written down because there's so much I can't remember all of it. So in February of 2020, I started these injections for chronic hives. and then also had hernia surgery just before the shutdown of the pandemic. Everything was just getting started. Then after that, the itchiness was just horrific. You could not touch me. If a dog would scratch my leg just a little bit with their paw, it just hives. It was very bad. It takes about 3 months for those injections to start working for the chronic hives. In August of 2020, I had a CT scan, and because I got another hernia, and they repaired the hernia in October of 2020, but I also had a colonoscopy that month, and what does that matter? Within a month of my hair growing, half of my hair broke off. It didn't fall out, it broke off, and so I had a ponytail, which at least half or a third of my hair was this long, and it was devastating. So in January of 2021, I almost did a Britney Spears situation. It was that close, because my hair used to be down to my butt, and now I've got this situation I'm working on. But anyway, I got a cute little haircut, hair started growing back, and then I got another hernia. That one could have been from sneezing or coughing, I can't remember. And so I went in for a CT scan, as per my usual annual CT scans, and I read my own report. And this is what I'm going to mention many times throughout my series. I'm going to say it now, and I know I say it in the first episode, you've got to be your own advocate. I read my radiology report that was available on the portal, and it mentioned that my right ovary was larger than the August 2020 CT scan. So I went back and looked at the August 2020 CT scan, and that one said that my right ovary was present and normal. Remember I just told you how in 2015 my right ovary murdered my appendix and swelled and died, and I bled internally for 3 days? Yeah, I grew an extra part. So I called the surgeon's office and said, I don't have a right ovary. Sent me back to my GYN, who sent me to an oncologist, and what that was a parasitic fibroid. When they removed my uterus in 2014, they used this machine called a morcellator, which is not on the market anymore, where they would basically send in a wood chipper, shred everything up, and suck it out. And I had some cells that were left behind, and they grew a whole new part. They removed that in December of 2021. In November of 2021, I finally stopped taking the injections. I wasn't itchy anymore. The December surgery did not affect it, which was fantastic. Then so the reason for that surgery was to get the hernia repaired initially, right? But I had the extra parts, and then I still had to have the hernia surgery, which happened in April of 2022. So we finally got that surgery. Hives didn't come back. I was in good shape. So life goes on. And then last summer of 2023, I popped another hernia. Got a new surgeon who had this idea to put this large piece of mesh in, and a piece of mesh that would stay, not a resorbable piece of mesh, so that I wouldn't have to continue to have hernia surgeries. Great. I was thrilled with this idea. I go in for surgery, expecting to go be in and out, and I wake up and they said they were waiting for my room, and I was like, why are we waiting for my room? With the previous pieces of mesh, with a piece of mesh, you've got a rough side that attaches to your skin, and then you've got the soft side that attaches to your muscle and against the intestine. Some of mine curled over and attached to my intestine, so I had to have my intestine stitched in October. As soon as I was done surgery, I convinced the nurse to give me a cheeseburger. I've had so many surgeries. I don't get sick over anything, and I immediately want a cheeseburger. I feel like that's the thing that makes me feel better. And so I convinced her, and I got one. Fast forward, I had to have another surgery because she had to stitch my intestine. She couldn't put the mesh in, so I had no mesh. I just had some stitches. She repaired it the best she could, as well as a couple of other smaller hernias. I had an appointment with her, and I said, listen, if you do not want me to convince a nurse to give me a cheeseburger, you're going to have to be sure to let them know to not give me a cheeseburger, because I'll get a cheeseburger. I healed up from that, fast forward to January of 2024, the end of January. And we went in, she did the surgery. Once again, I woke up and had to stay. Clearing scar tissue, because I'm very good at overgrowing scar tissue. She accidentally punctured my stomach. So I didn't know this. I had made arrangements for, a friend drop me off, friend pick me up, yada, 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 because I have a life outside of being operated on. When I tried to get my cheeseburgers, when the surgeon came in to see me and let me know that she punctured my stomach and that I was not allowed to have my cheeseburger. I came home the next day, and the nurse had given me Dilaudid in my IV before she took it out, and that stuff is amazing. I understand why people could become drug addicts. I am not, but that stuff just washes over your body like a big warm hug. I laid in my bed, and I woke up several hours later, and the pain medication had all worn off. And trying to get out of my bed, I felt something in my stomach just tear. It was excruciate. For the next 3 weeks, I had to sleep on the couch where I could just barely sit down and get up. I had to sleep sitting up. In the meantime, the chronic hives came back, so I started getting injections for the chronic hives. And I will talk about this in my first show, but I've been single for a long time. I've been through menopause. My libido was down, but I wanted to have sex in July, and so I did with a very dear friend of mine. Unfortunately, that is what taught me so much as to why I started this series, and also why it caused a separation in the muscles in my stomach. It was heartbreaking and we're not talking like crazy sex, like just a little bit of normal missionary sex, and it caused another hernia. Mentally, it's been tough, but it's also been fun for me to create this silly, chaotic, and fun conversation that I've had with people, friends, my sister, things that we have all learned so much in such a short period of time because of my wonderful and delightful experience. So I've created this series. I am going to continue to do this and not only talk about my journey, but other people's journeys that I know, and then maybe meet new people and we can talk about their journey and the things they're going through. It's not a medical advice show. It's not a medical show. It's just women talking to women in a funny way about the crazy things that our bodies do. And so many times we don't know. And so I want to talk about these things and help us know some of the things that we don't know and look at it funny. I mean, this whole story I just told you about my 11 surgeries in 9 years. I've still kept a really good attitude. Although there was one time someone did say to me, if what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I almost throat punched them because I was already strong enough. But I figure I'm a job creator. I spread my medical benefits around. I keep nurses and doctors employed, And then for a while when I was having my surgeries, I had a punch card that I would take and my own hole punch that I would have my doctors punch. By number 10, I was supposed to get a pizza, but that surgeon had left the practice, so I never got my pizza. So anyway, now I'm doing some physical therapy for some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in the first episode. Well, I hope you enjoy the show, and maybe at some point you and I can talk. You don't have to be on camera, but maybe we can have a conversation and just laugh about the silly stuff we go through as ladies in this world. Enjoy the show.
Some lady.